friends, it's Pixie. Welcome back into my home. We are back here, the only presentable spot in my home at the present time, because I'm gonna participate in a readathon and I'm really excited, and I have super exciting TBR to talk to you about. So this readathon is, as you will have seen in the title, the War Games readathon. And I will link to the hosts and their explanations down below. But basically, how this works is that it is a competition. It is a war game, a competition game, if you will. And where we are 3 different teams, dark, gray, and light, different paths you can choose. And each path has 3 different character arcs you can follow. And the different characters give you 5 different prompts to choose your reads. And the way you earn points for your team isn't quantity but quality. So the goal is to read books you're gonna love as much as possible. Because a 5-star read will give your team 50 points, and a 4-star will give your team 40 points, and so forth. So I have tried really hard to pick the books from my TBR that I think I'm gonna love the most. So I'm super excited. And it's also really good to be forced to actually read books I think I'm gonna love, because I normally have this thing where I almost don't dare pick up books I think I'm gonna really love. And I don't know what that weird thing is, but I've been talking to different people about it. And I think it's both like being scared of being let down and disappointed, but also it's just so fun to have something to look forward to. And once you read that book, you don't have it to look forward to anymore. Anyway, so I have chosen the dark side because, of course, the character I'm gonna follow is the Temptress. If you know me, you know that I have a thing for evil, crazy women in fiction, not so much in reality. And the Temptress I don't think there's a character like that in any of these books, but I'm just gonna think about my hypothetical Temptress and feel good about it. So let's get down to the books. I'm gonna actually start from the bottom of the prompt. The last prompt is to read a booktuber recommendation. And for that I have chosen The Confession by Jessie Burton. This was recommended by Emma from Drinking by My Shelf. And it was, I think, in a video about bisexual characters in non-romance books. I think this is literary fiction. I don't remember what else it's about. I know there's a bisexual character, and it seems to be sad. It's supposed to be about secrets, motherhood, and friendship. So I like that. I also really love this cover. It's a really cute illustration. So hopefully I'm gonna love this. The next prompt is to read a science fiction. And for that, I'm gonna read The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. This was actually also recommended to me, but not by a booktuber, by a comrade, when I asked for fiction books to read as a socialist, that kind of thing. And I can't sadly remember who that comrade was, because it was almost a year ago at this point. But if you're watching this, please let me know who you were. And they pitched it to me as it's about how it's impossible to build socialism on one moon. So, paralleling it's impossible to build socialism in one country, that kind of thing. So I'm really, really excited. For the next prompt, I don't know if I have stretched the definition or not. So the prompt is, read a grimdark fantasy, a true crime, or a horror. And I googled grimdark fantasy, and I think that this book fits. And if it doesn't, you'll just have to disqualify me, because I really want to read it. It's Kraken by China Mieville. China Mieville. I talk about him often because he is one of my absolute favorites. I adore his works. He's just a master. A master. So, first of all, this is set at the Natural History Museum, and I love natural history museums also, so that excites me. And I've heard from another comrade that the monsters go on strike in this one, so I'm pumped for that as well. But anyway, about the Grimdark. Here's what it says on the back. An impossible theft, a legendary beast, a holy war. And the blurb ends with the sentence, a god that someone is hoping will end the world. I think that sounds sufficiently dark, and from reading his other books, he does get kind of gritty and gets down to the ugly underbelly of his fantasy societies. So, I think this is gonna work. And again, if it doesn't, who's gonna stop me? Next, we have Read from a New Author. And for that I have The White Tiger by Aravind Adiga. This is also, I don't know much about this either, so this is why I don't make TBR videos often, because I kind of like just having a vague idea before I go into a book, and then discovering later what they are about. But here's what it says. Meet Balaram Halwai, the White Tiger, servant, philosopher, entrepreneur, murderer. So I know they're set in India and exposes the contradictions of class society is the impression I've gotten. I actually found this book at a charity shop and I hadn't heard of it before, but I picked it up because it intrigued me. And then later, Socialist Appeal, my British comrades paper, published a review of the film based on it. So that feels really promising. Can you sense a theme in books I think I'm gonna like? So yeah, I am really excited to find out what this is gonna be like. The fifth and final prompt is read a new release, and I don't own many new releases physically, and the ones that I do own are completely Swedish books that English-speaking booktube won't know about, and part of the fun of a readathon is the community and talking to people, so I decided to forego those for this specific purpose. I'm gonna read them, obviously, just not in a booktube sense. So I went on Scribd and looked at some new releases, and I found this novel that came out in August last year, which I think counts as new. It's called Lobisona. It's written by Romina Garber, and the blurb starts like this. Some people are illegal. Lobisonas do not exist. Both of these statements are false. I mean, I was immediately intrigued. So, apparently, it is about a girl who has immigrated from Argentina to the US, and her mom gets detained by ICE, so she is completely alone and can basically do whatever she wants, but it's also very scary and dangerous. And somehow this leads to her discovering this whole magical folklore world that's connected to Argentinian folklore. And it sounds like female werewolves aren't supposed to exist, but she exists. And like it sounds like it's gonna like work with like parallel themes. Like it's obviously gonna be explicitly about immigration status and how fucked up that is, and also work with that theme in a metaphorical way with the werewolf stuff. And I'm so into that. I think that's gonna be really good and interesting. Again, if you know me, you know that I love like realistic setting with fantasy added onto it. And I love political commentary. So I think this is gonna be really good. I'm really excited to check this out. So hopefully I'm gonna love it. That's my TBR for the War Games readathon. Also, if you're watching this and it's already March and you want to take part, please do. Please join. Consider joining the dark side. Anyway, thank you for hanging out, and I will see you on the battlefield. Before we go, I want to thank my patrons for supporting my art. I know there was no art in this video. If you want to see what I do, you can check out my Instagram, which is below. And that was all. Thank you so much for coming to hang out and listen to me ramble about these books that I haven't read yet. And take care of yourself, drink water, have fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye!